Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure. I'm Joshua.
And I'm Nietzsche.
This is episode 16, We Killed Chaos. Today we are reviewing the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster from 2021. Came out on Steam. I think it came out on iPhone or something. That doesn't matter. I played this on Steam, that's all that matters.
Yeah, but I didn't play it on Steam. I'm better than that. I don't have a Steam account, and I'm not going to create one for this.
Yeah, he's not with the times. That's fine. One day, he will be forced to, and that will be a good day.
There's never going to be a day where I'm forced to use Steam.
There will be a day. So Final Fantasy, number uno.
Yep.
The original. Came out 1987. This doesn't look like the 1987 version. Thankfully, it doesn't play like that, but it's close enough.
I mean, it'd be better if it did play like that in the grand scheme of things, but we're going to spoil the little bit that there is to spoil about this game. There's not really a grand amount to spoil. But this is your warning. If you were so worried about this game that came out in 87.
If you can't handle spoilers for this game, I don't know what to tell you, bud.
Mm-hmm. But no, the mobile platform nonsense of playing it was awful. It's truly atrocious. Because you get two options. You get deal with a directional pad thing that I have to click on and move the mouse around with, which was weird and annoying, or you get tap a square, and that's slightly better. Slightly less annoying.
That sounds annoying. That is not my experience. The first, 2 hours of the game, I just used the keyboard, WASD, easy peasy. And I thought, I need the test to make sure my Xbox controller can run on the PC. So I plugged that in. I was like, I wonder if it works with this game. It did. So I played it on Xbox controller.
A controller would have been nicer, but I wasn't going to play that game. Because it's clearly like a mobile deal. It's clearly supposed to have been played like that. And so I was like, I'm going to give this the experience that they designed it to be. And it was not pleasant on that front.
Oh, I think this is way better than a mobile experience.
Mine was a mobile experience.
Yeah, that's on you.
That's not on me. That's on I played it in the version that it was given to me. Maybe I could have hooked up a controller. I don't know. I'm doubtful. I got on the Play Store. I doubt that they have any level of compatibility with a controller.
I have no idea. Although, the phones these days are really compatible with controllers, like with DualShocks and stuff, so I don't think it'd be outside the possibility.
I don't know. I don't try and keep up with the times on that, because I don't like playing games on mobile-esque platforms that are not like I play solitaire like an old man at work.
Solitaire?
Yeah, it's a nice, enjoyable way to pass the time at work on breaks and stuff.
Regular solitaire or spider?
Regular solitaire. I don't even know why you brought up Spider Solitaire. It's not even a real version of Solitaire.
One day I'll meet a person who plays that. Maybe not.
It's a crap game.
It's pretty bad.
I don't actually know how it works. It's just not Solitaire, and I like Solitaire. But anyway, back to the actual game here. Yeah, that was not pleasant. It was really annoying. But when you use the airship, you can't tap anywhere. You have to use the nonsense, click thing. And so, it was just so frustrating. It really was hampering my experience, because I was not enjoying that. But here's where we need to start. I need to know what you named your characters. And these better be good names. I'm judging you hardcore. They all better be good. So we'll start with names and class. Tell me that.
Well, these are, you're not going to think these are good names.
They better be great.
So, for my warrior, I went with the classic, well-known Kishi Knight.
Okay.
For my red mage, I went with Rand.
Oh, good old Rand.
Yeah. For my white mage, I went with Min.
This last one better not be Wheel of Time.
My black mage was Pips.
I don't know what that one's actually from.
That is a horse in the Wheel of Time.
You chose a horse?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought the black mage would carry me. Not really, but it was a wish.
I am disappointed in your names. My names are Ruby names.
Oh, so much better.
Yeah, they're all consistently with the main four girls here. So my warrior was Ruby. I chose my thief, and that's Yang, because it's all by color theme.
Mm-hmm.
That one's more yellow, so that was Yang. The black mage is Blake, And the white mage is Weiss. Those were the best names. I had already decided, because I knew this was on the docket coming up. I was like, I need 4 names. And I just don't want to use the random generated names. I gotta pick something good. And I was like, no, that's it. Right there. Done. It's great.
That's lovely. Yeah, I kind of regret going with Red Mage. Honestly, they didn't really do much for me. I kind of wish I'd gone with Thief or Monk or whatever. But
it's Monk, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. But it got me through the game. It's all I needed.
I did not want another caster in there. The casters were already just the flimsiest things on the planet all the time.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did you get a game over?
I got a game over twice.
2 times?
Yeah, just twice.
That's bad.
Yeah, because you were perfect.
I got 0 game overs.
Yeah, I figured.
I had 1 death one battle where I had somebody die. I had my white mage die right before I killed it with like an instant death move. I was like, well, that was stupid. But that's the only thing that happened to me.
Oh, I had all kinds of death things happen because I'd like enter into like, oh, you got ambushed. There's 7 of these. Oh, they're all gonna hit the white mage. Are you for real right now? Legit, it'd be like 5 out of 7 of them would hit the and I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
She just dies. Weiss just dies.
Well, you see, I over-leveled myself pretty heavily. Like, before I even go and fight Garland, I'm like level 10. I'm like, I'm just gonna grind this. I was watching something on YouTube, and I'm like, you know what I could do while I'm watching this? Mindlessly run around in circles killing things. And so I did that for a while. And then I was like level 10, and I'm like, great. Just destroyed everything for a little while. And then when I start, getting caught up by enemies, I just grind some more.
Oh, no, I tried to play through pretty authentically, right? I didn't use a guide until a certain point. Yeah, I just went through. I ran up to Chaos Shrine right at the beginning and went through and did it. And that was fine. That's pretty simple. That didn't go too bad. But then, after that, things generally got pretty difficult. But I was like, no, I'm going to stick through it. I'm just going to do it.
That's good. I played till Mars Caves. And then I was like, okay, I remembered up to this point for where to go. But I couldn't remember after that. And then I was like, I used my actual physical walkthrough for the Game Boy Advance version. And I was like, I wonder how accurate this is to this version. And I think the only thing that was wrong was like some of the gil and chests had been upped in this version. But otherwise, like all the items were the same. It worked perfectly fine.
Well, that's fair. What is after Marsh Caves?
You go up to the castle and beat like the Asmos or whatever the guys.
Oh yeah, because Marsh Caves is getting the crown.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, before that, you had like Montoya's Cave and then Garland, and that's about it. Well, I guess you have to go get the boat from that town with the pirates. That's about it.
Yeah, so you do that, and then you go back to the... Where do you go?
After what?
After the Marsh Caves, you kill that kid, the Elf King, and then you go back and you help the prince out.
Well, you gotta go to Montoya, give her eye, then she gives you the tonic, and you bring that back to the elf guy, and he's like, oh, you're so cool. Here you go.
There's a key, and then you do that, and then you go to the dwarves.
Yeah, and then you go to the dwarves.
I was good up to that point.
Okay.
And then you go over and you go into, Sad Town? Melond or whatever. Is that what town that is over there? They don't have a sanctuary.
I lost track of the town names.
I thought you were supposed to, write out useful things in your notes.
I did.
Yeah, that'd be useful to know. But so you go through the little thing, and I did that next part, and then it's telling you about, the ruins in the north, and, all this stuff, and all you have is a boat. And so I go all the way up north, I'm telling you. I went all the way around both of those continents. And you cannot land in either of them. And I didn't realize until much later, because my visual and map reading skills are great, that you can see the ports on the map. And I went, why am I an idiot? Why am I an idiot?
Well, they gave you the freedom to navigate, and they shouldn't have done that.
I'm fine with freedom to navigate. Nobody in the town, maybe if you go back to towns it tells you, but nobody tells you about this Crescent Town place. Where I need to go.
Crescent Lake?
Yeah, whatever. Crescent Lake Town. I don't know. The town over there. That's what I'm calling it. Crescent Town. But then, I knew you had to talk to the mages in the circle. I did know that. But I didn't remember what they gave me or what the purpose was or where that town even was. So that's where I started to use the guide.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, I was just like, oh, this is so stupid. So you do that, and then it's like, oh, you need to go do this, just take the canoe and go way around over here. And what? Why? This is so weird. After that, I think the game tells you what you need to know.
I mean, that's not too bad.
But I still use the guide and just to tell me where to go. I didn't use it for, like, dungeons and stuff. Because the map was good enough, right? The map in-game was like, open up the map. Oh, look, I can see everything.
Yeah, it was really good.
Well, that was a nice quality of life change.
Yeah, it was nice. It's convenient.
Now, generally, at the early dungeons, I was so poor off because I was just running so bare bones that I did not explore everything. But I was like, nope, I'm going to die. Also, the frequent, like, monsters in a box thing are like, oh my, why? Why is it like, feel like the beginning is like 80% of chests are just like, monster in a box. Here's an antidote. I don't want this stupid antidote. That's not what I wanted. If I'm going to fight some monsters in a box, I want something that's worth my time. I can go buy an antidote for like 50 gil.
Yeah, there were some chests later in the game that were literally just like a potion. And I'm like, this is worthless. Why do I need this? It was kind of funny.
Oh, I used potions.
I used high potions when I just bought 99 of them. I was like, this will help.
No. I didn't buy high potions until like after... Yeah, until we went to Mount Gold. That's where I bought high potions. I had no high potions that were not dropped or given to me up until that point. So it was a rough go that I made basically for myself. I could have done other things with it, but I was like, nah, I'm gonna just try and see how far and how hard this is.
It's interesting to think about because in the original NES version, there's like inventory limits and there's just little things that would make the game so much worse. Where like if all four of your characters target the same enemy and the third one kills it, that fourth one is just going to hit nothing.
Yeah, that's a nice change when you make that change.
Oh yeah,
because it's really annoying, and I was already kind of annoyed most of the time because I didn't like having to take the mouse and be like, click attack, drag over. So I played most of my battles in auto battle, straight up.
I used a lot of auto battle myself.
And I was so bored a lot of times. Like, running through dungeons was so boring. Because it'd be like, auto battle, what do I do? Oh, I'm watching myself play this game. This is not great. The mobile, I'm telling you, this whole, like, experience could have been better if it was just on a console. Of any kind. A handheld, doesn't matter.
I still think these have got to come to console at some point.
I don't know, Square Enix representatives are listening. Better bring it to console.
It's just stupid not to be on there. But in general, like even through like the last dungeons, like my Black Mage was just over there hitting stuff.
Well, you don't have enough spell uses to just be spamming crap.
Yeah, you don't. And it's just like, I'll save these for the bosses. And then the bosses I would beat in like 2 or 3 rounds. Except for like the last boss. Otherwise, everything I'd beat in like 2 or 3 rounds.
Oh, I did not.
Oh.
I was not over leveled to that. What level did you end this game at?
Like 53.
Oh yeah, I was like 42 or something when I beat this game. You had a lot on me.
Yeah, I did a lot of grinding. I spent about 13 hours beating this game. I probably spent 5 of those grinding. Mindlessly running in circles. Right next to a town, so as I got low on spell use for health, could run in, use an in, run back out, kill enemies. That was almost half the game for me. Just auto battle. Let's go.
I'm not auto battle. The problem was if I'd be like, oh, well, there's 9 undead enemies. I'm going to use Dia. And then I'd forget. And then I'd waste the use of Dia.
Yep.
Except that that's not a use of Dia. That's like a waste of Cure.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so stupid. And early on, it was really hard. Because you don't have a lot. And I didn't bring any ethers. Because I was bare bones because, I had money to buy equipment and spells.
I was flush with cash, let me tell you.
I had a lot of money at the end. I ended with like 600,000 or something.
Yeah.
But early on, you don't have that much money. Unless you grinded, but I was like, no, I'm going to see how far this goes. And I got pretty far. I beat the game pretty easily. My first one was on Lich. Because I played a little risky about it, and then he just took me out. And I was like, okay, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that. And I went in, and no problem. Took him out. But then Chaos took me out at the end.
Really?
Yeah. Like, really close to the end, too. I had been in this fight for like 15 minutes or something.
That sucks, because there's no save point, right?
Well, I quick saved because the game crashed, so it crashed about 4 times on me. Oh. And the first time I lost like an hour. Every other time I lost generally less than a couple minutes. Because I quick save like every 5 minutes.
See, so, I never crash. It really has to be the Play Store experience.
Other people claimed they had no problems on the reviews, and other people were like, yeah, no, this game crashed for me. So I don't know. I just kind of had a crap go with it crashing. So I quick saved all the time. So I quick saved right before.
Oh, I did the entire last dungeon without saving. I was just like, there's no save points proper here. So I guess I'm just gonna do it. It made me think of like Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 9, which those weren't great parts of it, where it's just like, just do a huge gauntlet of things at the end.
That's like JRPG Central though, right? Like, we can never move on from like, would you like to do a gauntlet of ridiculousness at the end?
Not really.
Sometimes. Rarely, though. Rarely do I want to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't really a problem. Like,
those bosses are pitiful at that point.
I never came close to dying. I mean, Chaos even, it took a while just because it has so much HP. But in general, like, I didn't come close to dying. I never dipped below 200 health.
No, what screwed me is he would haste, and then he just one-shot everybody except my warrior.
He never used haste for me.
Are you for real right now?
I'm not even joking.
So the run where I got screwed, you can't dispel it either, by the way. You can't get rid of it. He's stuck with haste. Yes, the run where I failed, though, he used haste like 4 separate times. Which was nice after the first time.
Yeah, it's a waste.
Because it's a waste of a move. But so he would, if he used haste, he did like 800 damage to my little white mage over there. And she does not have that much health. So he one-shot her. You can't do anything to protect her or save her. She's just screwed. You hope for a miss, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, I never had this problem.
Yeah, so he did that, and he just, like, screwed me out. And what happened is that I was, like, running out of resources. Because this fight had gone on too long, and he kept screwing me over. And so he had like, oh, I'm gonna kill your white mage, and then, oh, I'm gonna kill the person who was using the Phoenix down before they could go. Oh, cool.
Perfect.
Huh? Oh, now I'm gonna use, like Tsunami or something, like one of the harder hitting magic spells. On top of the fact that I went 2 rounds without a healer. And then, like, people were low, and I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I got screwed out. I dug myself out of a pretty bad hole with just one person being alive, and then it didn't go after that. I failed, and I was so frustrated. Yeah, and then I went back in, and he was nicer. He only one-shot someone once. And I was like, what happened, buddy? Why, you use this move like every other move for forever. Like, you had decided this was the way it was gonna go, and it was so frustrating.
Yeah, I had no problems. He did flare a couple times, but like, I had so much HP that I'd be like, alright, here's a heal. Most of the time I was just casting Flare, Holy, and then just hitting with my Knight.
Oh no, I had to heal every turn.
It was pretty simple. It took a while, but it wasn't hard.
It's not necessarily hard, it's just a gauntlet of just like sitting here for forever.
Yeah. In general, I found the bosses to be really unengaging, but to be fair, I was over leveled. I kind of wanted to see what the difference would be in this game. Pretty significant, because Lich, I think I beat in 2 rounds. I just demolished his life.
We were running pretty low. Like, I had basically nothing left to be able to heal myself or make it through, and then I killed him. And I was like, yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah, it was a radically different experience. Yeah. And you're just kind of bare bones in it.
Yeah, no. So, for the dungeons, it's not that there's very many of them. But, like, the only one that I would consider kind of annoying was Mars Cave. Because there's just all this poison. I guess Mount Gold also had the cockatrices with, like, stone. That was kind of annoying.
That happened once.
I got it, like, 4 times. And that was always kind of stupid. But I had the golden needle, so whatever.
Oh, I bought none. And so the one time it happened, it had already dropped one. And so I just used it and moved on.
No, I mean, that works. But no, otherwise, most of the time, dungeons I just kind of ran through, auto-battled, unless it was just kind of a stupid, like a large amount, and I was like, I'm just going to use a magic attack, kill all of you, move on. And then I'd save everything for, like, the boss at the end. And then even, like, mini-bosses, There were some of them I like one shot with my warrior. I just attacked and it died. And I was like, all right, great.
Well, a lot of the mini bosses are not really mini bosses. They're just normal enemies. And that's kind of a weird deal.
Kind of underwhelming.
No, I mean, I struggled through a lot of dungeons, generally. Mount Gold onward was pretty easy. But at that point, I was just wanting to be done. I was just trying to run through. I didn't really explore a whole lot after a while.
Well, there's not much to explore, really. The game's pretty linear.
Well, like, explore the dungeons. Like, there's a chest over there. It's probably nothing useful. It's probably a dang potion or something.
With the guidebook, I just knew, here's all the chests. All right, great. I'm going over there, grabbing this.
Oh, I took the shortest path to victory, and in the last dungeon, I ended up in one chest that wasn't on the way.
Well, I opened every chest.
I mean, there's only like 4 of them or something, but...
The last dungeon is really lame. I just thought it was kind of an underwhelming final dungeon, which is sad, because I actually liked Sunken Temple, Mirage Tower, and Flying Fortress. I liked all 3 of those, actually. I thought they were pretty cool. Especially, I have to say, the Sunken Shrine theme, really good. But it also just sounds like Castlevania, and I'm all about that, so it was pretty cool.
The music in general is pretty quality, but Sunken Shrine nonsense. The stupid thing where you gotta go over there to get the stone or whatever, you gotta run on this weird path thing. The only time in the game where there's a random path that, like, connects around like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because I wasn't using a guide, right? I was just running through, and then the guy was like, if you didn't pick this up in the dungeon, you're gonna have to go back to it. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, those chests that I ignored because I didn't know how to get to them.
Perfect.
Yeah. Because on the tap thing, because that's what I used, you could just tap over and it would just run you over there.
Yeah.
Right? That was fine.
It's like you're playing Diablo.
Yeah, and so I tapped it, but it was like, no, you can't run over here. And I'm like, what? Okay.
I see.
Well, then, and I was like, well, there's got to be something later then. You know? But those chests are probably not that important. No. Those chests are very important. Well, one of them is. And so I was frustrated with that. But besides that, like, I mean, the dungeons were dungeons, right? You ran through. It's an old school deal.
Oh my god.
You do your thing.
This game feels so old.
Yeah, I don't hate that, right? It's always kind of nice to go back to, like, old simplicity things like this. Like, it's kind of nice.
There's some interesting details from this game that carry through the entire series that I think is very cool. So if you look at, like, the bestiary, there's a lot of enemies in this game that you see through, like, Final Fantasy 14. I don't know that they're in 15, but 15 has, like, a weird bunch of things. I mean, you see some things, but in general, that game had its own enemies. But, like, in Final Fantasy 14, right, you're fighting Sahagin and stuff, and it's like, oh, well, I know where these are from. I saw, like, the Ochu, and then there was a Neo Ochu, and I was like, oh, this just makes me think of Final Fantasy 13. And I just think that's pretty cool how far back you can trace the series lineage to this game. With, like, Bahamut in this game, Tiamat, which is a reoccurring dragon. I think there's a lot of really cool things. You know, a lot of the job system, of course, very famous. A lot of these jobs, like a white mage or a black mage, are very iconic. So there's a lot of cool things in this game from a historical standpoint. But there's a difference between appreciating history and then experiencing, even at a quality of life level such as this, you know, 1987 dungeon crawling gameplay.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Every now and then, right? It's kind of like I played through 4 Heroes of Light or whatever a while back. That was nice. It's a little more frustrating on some levels than it needed to be. It's a much harder game than this game is.
I mean, this wasn't hard.
So...
Now, I fully expect that the original release would be pretty hard.
You'd be pretty screwed, because you'd have to make it all the way back to town to, like, save and stuff. There's a couple times where I gotten so screwed out that I just had, like, one person running back to town. I was just, like, fleeing everything.
Totally different experience.
One deal where it was after I was running back from the Mirage Tower thing. And I hit these random, like, armored dog things. I don't know what they were red. There were 4 of them. And I'd never seen these things. And I'm like, well, I'll just use my normal strategy. And then, well, they like 2-shot the white mage, and then they 1-shot my black mage. And I was like, what?
Ooh.
And then we didn't kill one, and I was like, oh my gosh. This is not great. I'm glad I just saved.
Yeah.
But I lived. I fled, and then I fled back to the airship and went over to Cornelia Castle.
I didn't flee once. I was like, whatever.
Oh, I had to flee a lot.
Like, sometimes I wanted to just because it felt like it'd be faster, but I was like, whatever, it's XP. I'll take it.
Oh, no. The caves were especially bad. I had to flee the caves, like, almost done, and I had to flee them. Because I knew we just weren't going to be able to make it. And I needed to be able to make it back.
Yeah. Now, did you talk to everybody in towns?
Yeah. I talked to everybody in towns. Like you should. You did not. That's what you told.
I talked. There was towns I talked to nobody. There was towns I talked to like one person. There's no town I talked to more than 2 or 3 people. Unless I had to.
Oh no, you talk to everybody. Because they tell you things and like where to go and stuff. And that's how you figure out a lot of this. Except that no one tells you anything about Crescent Town over here. Crescent Lake or whatever. Nobody tells you about that. They just assume that if I tell you to go north, you'll actually go east or west, because you could really do it either way you wanted.
I mean, that's fair, and I understand the usefulness of that. But with the guide, I was like, I don't need it, and I'm not really that interested because there's elves and dwarves in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think elves ever come into the series again outside of like 14, maybe.
Elizons.
The Elizon, but they're not called elves. But I mean, they are an elf race, right? But outside of that, I don't know that off the top of my head I can think of any elves.
I don't know. I can't think of any.
But I mean, I get that this is like D&D based, and it is what it is. I just kind of wondered what the political landscape of this world was when you had dwarves and elves and humans. Like, what was the relations between these peoples? I was kind of curious. And I was kind of curious if people said it in like dialogue, but it didn't really seem like that would be discussed.
They just tell you what you need to know, basically. Well, they're like, you go talk to the guy who blows up, the canal or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, I could really use some whatever the item is, right?
Nitro powder.
Nitro powder. I'm pretty sure there's some in the castle. How do you... Because it's a video game. Got it. You just know what I need to know.
He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, but, like, most of their stuff is throwaway lines, or it's like, oh, here you go. Except the town where you gotta talk to people to get the bell. I literally had to talk to everybody. Maybe it's... The guide made it sound like you don't have to talk to everybody. It's just random. I don't know. But they tell you some useful things.
Yeah, I'm not much of a talk to every NPC guy. It's not really my way.
It's a part of the world, though, right? It's a part of me feeling immersed. And when you have bad NPC stuff... Now, in old games, they're just there to, like, tell you what you need to do. And I appreciate that I have to talk to people and piece it together a little bit.
I think it's cool. Like, if I was playing this game on the NES, like, I have the NES Classic, I could play it on there if I had wanted to. I would have wanted to do it blind, because I think that would have been the most authentic experience to the game. But, at this point, it's an old game. I'm not that concerned about it. These people aren't going to have really anything that I think will actually be interesting. I was more interested in just kind of seeing the history of the series and the gameplay decisions that were implemented, which don't really amount to much other than attack or cast spell or use item, which, that's a lot of Final Fantasy games, to be fair. But with it being like, I don't like how turn-based this is. For like the first 3 games of Final Fantasy do this, where it's like you choose all the abilities for all 4 characters, and then they do them, or the monsters attack in between, whatever, and then you just do it again. It's just not that. It's not very interesting. Final Fantasy X has a turn-based system, but I feel like that game handles it in a much more interesting way. Now, obviously, very decades apart in time for those games, so it's fair, but it's just not that fun to go back to.
I agree it's not necessarily the greatest battle system, but I still kind of like it. It's kind of like it's so antiquated that you get to like appreciate how far we've come type thing. And I don't really hate the like turn system where it's basically a round and everybody's turn is based on speed in a sense, I guess. I don't exactly understand how it works because not everybody goes in the same order every time. So I don't know if there's like a weird action counter thing as well that increases wait time and stuff. I'm never exactly positive. But it is primarily based on speed, which is why I chose my thief. Because he's fast, and if you needed something, like, oh, someone died, I need an item used, bam.
Did that work in your favor?
Yeah, frequently.
I used the brute force method.
You also use the grindy method.
Hell yeah.
And still beat it in faster time than I did. Anyway, but 10 is the best battle system in the series. Because that is traditional speed-based turn system. That's all it is.
10 has a great battle system. Now, I also like 13's system. 12 I like a lot. 14. Those are all good.
I mean, I don't hate any of the battle systems in the series.
I mean, ATB is good. I like it.
ATB works. It's a simple system.
It's around for so long, though. It's nice that 10 had a different system.
I just don't hate the ATB system is nice. It gives me time to think and deal with things. And
It's not awful. It's just not very fun when you're just hitting auto battle and running around.
I agree, but I would feel more engaged even if I was just hitting attack, having to hit X or A. Just right? Yeah. I'm engaged. I'm holding something in my hand. I sat there and I ate stuff a lot of time while I was playing because I just had a whole free hand.
Like I said, while I was grinding, I just watched videos and then I just kind of looked back and forth. It was fine. It's the first of its series. It's not like the first JRPG, obviously, right? Like things like Dragon Quest 1 would be an interesting discussion in historical context, though that game is vastly different from what little I've played of it. But Final Fantasy is an important game for RPGs in general, both in Japan and the West. And it's a really important series. It's massive, it's got a lot of games, it's got a long storied history, and it's a solid entry point for what it is. And I imagine it was very cool in its time. But I wasn't alive in 87, so I can't really speak to that experience.
Have you watched the 14 Warrior Light, Data Light thing or whatever?
No, I haven't watched that.
Oh, because they bond at the beginning over Final Fantasy 1.
Interesting.
And it's kind of an interesting deal where they're playing through together and the main kid is an actual little kid at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah, I think, I should watch that at some point. And then I never do.
It's short. It's not bad. It's kind of like a feel-good, weird thing. And I'm not a big feelings person, but it was kind of fun. The best part about it is that they have dubbed over 14 characters talking.
Oh.
And it's kind of about as bad as it sounds, but it's mildly humorous to me. Something about it is kind of quirkily endearing. Anyway, now that I've started this tangent, I'm going to end this tangent. Yeah, it is interesting how important Final Fantasy is to video games, and it sets a lot of structure and how things really run for a while, right? Because really old games, that's how it kind of works. It's the same kind of system, and
I've played the original Zelda, and I think that is more fun to play as a gameplay experience than this game. Now, I don't remember when Zelda came out.
Zelda's old. Zelda's a different style of game.
Oh, I mean, yeah, very clearly they are very different. But, so it's not I think the NES has bad gameplay in general. RPGs are my favorite genre of video games as just a general RPG, right? That could be a JRPG, a Western, whatever. And I appreciate where they come from. I very much appreciate where gameplay has taken us now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying earlier, right? Going back to something that's really old helps you kind of feel the journey through, right?
It does.
Because now we're in a much better spot, right? I don't need to play a game like this, but every 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because
for sure.
It's fun to go back sometimes and play these things, but...
Well, it's also really interesting because you look at Final Fantasy 2, and it's got a quirky system, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can see a game like Skyrim, which is 2011 when that came out, and there's a lot of DNA of Final Fantasy 2 in Skyrim, in its battle, in that you upgrade your abilities as you use those abilities. Now, 2 is weird because it's if you want to increase your health, the most efficient way is to just attack yourself and then finish the battle with low health, and then you'll get a little bit more, and then you just grind that way. It's very weird. It's got a lot of weird ideas to it. So its implementation isn't great, but the idea goes all the way back to there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, 2 system is really broken.
Yes.
It does not function right, and I appreciate that we did something different, and then we said, wow, never doing that again, because that doesn't work.
Do you imagine playing that on the NES?
It'd be harsh.
Oof. That would be rough.
It clearly, is influential in there are games like Skyrim. I don't know. I feel like there are other games like that use using your skills as your upgrade point, but I don't know that.
Yeah, it's definitely not unheard of, right? It's just Skyrim's a well-known game. everyone's bought it 30 times, so we all know how it works.
I have not bought it. Sounds like you have bought it plenty for me.
I think I've bought it like 2 or 3 times in life.
Oh my gosh.
I've contributed. It's all good.
But yeah.
What do you think of the 4 fiends and their designs?
Well, you start with Lich.
Yeah, you get Lich.
I like that.
Yeah, I think...
I don't hate that. I feel like it's kind of weird that he is just like a skeleton thing. Like, he is undead. Why is he like the fiend of the earth? I feel like it'd be more interesting if he was like a humanoid person thing. And he, as you weaken him, becomes a skeletal figure because he's losing his control over the earth crystal. And
that would be cool.
Right, he's like drawing the power from it, and that's what helps keep him have a fleshly corporeal form.
Yeah.
Now that's way beyond the scope of how this game wanted to play.
Yeah.
And
that's a cool idea.
Story, but I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lich is cool. Now, you don't really get a whole lot of information about these fiends. They're just cool things that you kill. And then after that, you get Merilith.
Our snake one.
Yeah, like a Medusa kind of experience. What do you think about her?
Fine. Nothing special. I didn't really care. I was like, yeah, I don't have any cool ideas for you. You're just there. And then
I assume her name is based on being like Lilith.
I don't know, is it?
Well, it's Merilith, so I just kind of assume that. I don't really know.
Maybe it has something to do with fire.
Yeah, I mean, you fight her in Mount Golg, which is a very different Mount Golg experience than Final Fantasy XIV's Mount Golg.
I have ran Mount Golg in 14 too many times.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting, because I had forgotten that came from Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah, Mount Golg has been around for forever.
Yeah.
It generally appears in like every game. I don't think it was actually originally called Mount Golg in the NES, though.
Oh, maybe not. I have no idea.
It was called something different. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. That dungeon sucks. I do not like that dungeon.
I thought it was okay, but...
No. The guy nicely pointed out that as long as I was on the lava, I couldn't get attacked.
Right.
Which was nice and useful.
Yeah.
But then I'd like click and I'd forget that it takes the weirdest path sometimes. And it's like, oh. And then you'd get in a battle and you'd be like, come on. And it'd always be like, oh, you're ambushed. There's 7 of them.
Perfect.
Really? But I had a lot of random encounters that were 6+. Frequently.
I had a lot later in the game, but not early.
Oh, no. All through the whole game. Like, 6+ was really normal. Like, I just got kind of some crap RNG, I feel like.
I noticed that a lot of enemies with me would flee. Did that happen with you?
They'd try to flee. They almost never were successful, though.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was happening because I was over-leveled, and that was like a dynamic experience, which would be cool, or if it was just a standard.
No, it's just a standard weird thing.
Oh, okay. Good to know. And then you get Kraken.
Yeah, he's okay.
I like his design, actually. I thought it was pretty cool.
He's just an octopus thing.
It made me think. So I guess we do have Kraken in 14, right? In like 2 dungeons. You have to fight it.
That was just one. That was just Shasta hard.
Well, there's that one, and then there's like Hullbreaker Isle, I think it is, where you have to fight a Kraken.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, you're right.
And
something like that.
I was like, man, I feel like we could get a really cool Kraken fight. Both of those kind of suck. But I felt like we could get a cool Kraken fight with like a design based on this guy.
You know what we could have done? Not had Leviathan 2.0 in the Eden Raid series and had a Kraken fight. Oh, look. More things you could have done. That would have been better than what you gave me. Because I'm still bitter about this raid series. Just rehashing and not giving me enough ink. End of tangent. And you get Tiamat. That dungeon also sucks.
No, that's a good dungeon. I like that one.
No, you were wrong. That dungeon definitely sucks. It's just big and annoying.
There's a lot of space in these dungeons that's completely useless, which is kind of interesting.
I just I'd look down there and be like, oh, there's a room down there. Way down there.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Nothing.
And I get that it's meant to be like, you explore and find your way and whatnot, but it does feel really empty, especially with a guide, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, it just feels like you're wasting my time sometimes. And I guess that's probably part of the experience, right? You gotta run through, it's difficult, you gotta manage your resources right. Oh, you ran all the way down here for nothing.
Idiot.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, so, and then you fight Tiamat, and the famous dragon appears in several games.
A lot.
Yeah, and so it's cool to see that that's, back here at 1. And it's a good design, I think. It's a solid boss. That's one of the few bosses that took more than 2 or 3 rounds to beat. I think it took 4 or 5.
Oh, I don't know, it took me a while.
We stepped it up a little bit.
Teammate has a lot of health.
Yeah, more than the others. And then of course you go to the end for Chaos, who we had to kill.
We did kill.
We killed Chaos successfully. I'm very proud.
I can't mimic that voice very well. Like, it's really husky and still really deep, and I can do one or the other. I can't do both.
Chaos.
Yeah, see, that only captured one aspect of that.
Yeah, but we found him. We killed him. I think he has 20,000 health or something, which is just ridiculous. It's kind of funny.
Well, so in a lot of these iterations, it changes a lot. And I think like the PSP version, it's like 40,000. Now, that's a pitifully easy version, because that's the version I played the first time I played this game.
Yeah.
And that version is nowhere near the same level of difficulty experience. Like, you just go in and trash everything. It doesn't matter.
That's interesting. My first experience was with the PS1 version.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that one runs. But yeah, so I wasn't sure how much health he actually had in this version. Too much. I agree. It's too much. It's very much like, Japanese, padding for nothing, right? We're going to make this boss have a ridiculous amount of health, so it's challenging.
Yep.
That's not really challenging. That's just kind of annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it's not great. It's fine. Chaos, I've always thought had a pretty cool design, at least. So it's kind of cool to look at. The final theme, boss battle, pretty alright.
I didn't hate any of the music, really. And then I like the Matoya's Cave theme that gets reused a lot. But
yeah, Matoya's Cave, I actually wrote down all the songs that I thought were relevant or that I liked.
Uh-huh. And that's one of them. And the Sunken Shrine is one of them.
Yeah, Sunken Shrine, Chaos Shrine, I think is good. I wrote down Prelude because it's iconic. Prelude and then the Victory theme are some of the most iconic video game music tracks you could probably come up with, right?
Video game tracks or like Final Fantasy tracks? I just don't know.
In general, I knew a kid that I used to work with that knew the Victory fanfare really well, but he had never played a Final Fantasy game.
Really?
He barely even knew what these games were about.
He knew who Cloud was.
Everybody
knows who Cloud is.
He probably knew who Cloud was. But the Victory fanfare is super famous. People know that and recognize it. And then the Prelude is also, I think, just as famous. And I'm pretty sure, right, it was the one that was written in 30 minutes or whatever.
I think it's less than that. I think it's 10 minutes.
We need a song here.
Yeah, that's basically what it was, from my understanding.
I'll just bust that out.
They're like, we need something for the intro, and he just wrote it and then played it, and then it was just put in there.
That's so cool. That's so funny. He just naturally knew. He's like, this is it. This is the song of generations right here.
And we still use this theme.
We do. The Victory fanfare is redone for basically all the games. You hear it all the time.
But the same, beginning 3 seconds is almost always the exact same.
Once you've heard it, you've heard it. But then you get the final battle theme, which is pretty good. You get the Castle Cornelia theme, which I kind of like.
It's a serviceable theme.
And yeah, that's pretty much all I really had. Those were what I liked. You get the battle theme, which is fine. The overworld, it's fine. I don't think they're great. And I don't really know what these sounded like on the NES. Because we have really nice sounding versions now. But I can't imagine these things sounded super crisp back then.
They probably still sounded acceptable. Not great, right? But acceptable.
Yeah. Oh, Garland. The first guy you get to go fight. Super evil, I guess. He kidnaps the princess. Dastardly dude. You go beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
Threatens to knock us down. But it doesn't happen. We just destroy him. What do you think about that guy?
My favorite part about this is at the end, when you're doing the last little monologue thing or whatever. And it's what made him be a bad person? What happened on that fateful day? I don't know. Just for a separate time that we're never, ever going to discuss. And I went, how lazy. Even for the time.
It's pretty bad.
That's pretty lazy, guys.
It's just bad.
Oh, man.
Just a bad dude.
I feel if Garland had even a small amount of backstory, just any bit, he is, power hungry. Yeah, okay.
It's funny because the Dissidia games give him more of a personality than this game does.
Yeah, the Dissidia games are pretty okay, except for NT. But yeah, which is why I feel the new Stranger of Paradise thing could be okay, except that I didn't enjoy playing the demo, so I'm not going to probably play this game. But, like, giving it some level of backstory could be really interesting. But you could have just done that, naturally.
Yeah, I always thought this game would work really well for a remake. Just a full-blown reimagining of Final Fantasy 1.
That's what we're getting. Stranger of Paradise.
I don't feel like that's what that game actually is. Maybe that is what they're supposed to be, but it's Final Fantasy Origin, right? It's like a story of Garland. But it's not like recreating, as far as I know, going and fight the four fiends, cleanse the crystals, go back in time, kill Chaos.
I mean, I saw a screenshot of, like, Marlith.
Really? I don't know.
I mean, the demo was weird. It's not going to be the exact same. It's basically how you described that, as a reimagining and a whole new thing.
Maybe that is what it's supposed to be, but that's not how they marketed it at the beginning.
Alex. They marketed it as chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about chaos. Now, when that first trailer dropped, I still really love how fast people got on 14. Made a character that looks like this main character and went into Omega 9 and just is like, I found chaos, and then it's him as like a Dark Knight, just like about to throw down. It's hilarious. I love it.
The memes on that, I just don't understand why it's memes. Like, yeah, they use the word chaos too frequently. I don't know why it matters.
It's just funny.
Okay. Uh-huh.
That's all it is. It's funny.
It's not.
And it's stupid.
Get better humor.
But it's funny.
Get better humor.
So that comes out. But yeah, I don't know what Stranger of Paradise is really supposed to be outside of just this weird side event or telling of Garland, which I guess could be informational, but that game does not look very good. When I imagine a remake of Final Fantasy, I would think, like, give it a modern, like, look, not like something in the line of like Final Fantasy 3 on the DS, but make it look better than that game. But something in that style where it changes the perspective. Like, I feel like you could do like a good action RPG even with this game. Could be pretty interesting. I feel like there's a lot you could do.
That's what they're doing. They're doing an action RPG. I just feel like I don't understand your disconnect here. You're over here describing Stranger of Paradise as a concept, and then you're like, but I don't want that. Well, but I just want that.
But does that game, if it didn't have the Final Fantasy name, or like, if they didn't say Chaos or whatever, you just saw these guys, right? And there's like Square Enix just bringing out this game. Would you think, that's Final Fantasy 1? No. You would think that looks like a Nomura weird game.
Wow, now we're name dropping hate. Woo.
And that's basically what it is. And that's not what I think people imagine with a Final Fantasy remake. Not this weird, I have to go kill Chaos, weird character bit. The writing in that game for its dialogue looks questionable. I just don't know what they were thinking with it. Now, maybe it's good. I don't know. I haven't played the demos. I don't really know. It didn't look very good to me. Maybe one day I'll get around to it. But I'm doubtful.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, now that you brought us on this whole side tangent, so you're just hating on it, always, like a jerk. I don't hate on things, though.
Yeah, you've never hated on anything.
No, I don't hate on anything. I'm like the most positive person you know.
True.
Even the grand, wonderful things to talk about with this game. I feel like we've basically covered it all.
I mean, there's not much to cover. Pretty short game, to be honest. So I don't got anything.
Well, now it is your guys' turn to have it us. An important deal. We need your likes, your comments. You need to follow, subscribe, all of the things that you know you need to do. Because this was a pleasurable experience. I know it was. It was a pleasure for us, which means it has to be a pleasure for you. And that's why we're doing this. To bring you some pleasure. There's a large amount of pleasure that you should be getting from this episode. That's what I promised you last time. That's what you're getting.
We always deliver the pleasure. Now, you also need to leave us some suggestions. Do you want to have us go through, talk about Final Fantasy 2, or 3, or 24? Tell us what you think. We're big fans of this series, so we have a lot of things we can talk about with it. We've played basically all of them, of the main series, at one point or another. It's been a while since I've played some of them. So let us know. Twitter's a good place for that.
Any other suggestions you wanna put in there for any of the categories, this kitchen sink category? You can throw anything in here you want. Anything you feel you need me to hate on for you, you put that in there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I will do that. And I will accept the first 3 hate comments that come in. After that, the rest of you are too slow. And so you're not even worth my time.
Alright, well, you also need to go and rescue your local princess. It's very important. And then you need to tell her, above all else, that she needs to listen to this show. And then she can tell the people of her kingdom all about it.
It's the right thing to do. Rescuing princesses, helping them enliven the people's lives. It's important. Let's hear your score here.
I'm feeling in my heart that this game is like a 6. For a modern game evaluation, I think a 6.
It gets tainted by the mobile platform setting that I had to play on. So this game gets a 5 out of 10.
Have at us.